everybody. Naomi with Treasures by Naomi, and it is time to varnish this painting. Now, I see a lot of posts on Facebook in the paint pouring groups of people who don't like using polycrylic gloss finishes because, you know, you get brush strokes and all that stuff. Well, I don't use a brush because of the brush strokes that you end up getting. In this painting, I did use silicone, so I'm going to clean it off. I don't use soap and water. In fact, water doesn't really touch it. What I do use is cornstarch. I will, sprinkle some on, and then I will spread it around with my hand for, in sections, and try and get it off. I'll show you how it's done. I let it sit for a good 30 minutes, and then I take a dry paintbrush and I clean it off. And then I do take a dampened towel, one of those reusable towels by like Scotch-Brite. Here, these towels. These ones are done by Brillo. I get them at the Dollar Tree for $1 for a 12. And I will reuse one until it cannot be reused anymore. Basically, it just, it just stops being soft all the time. So, great product. Anyways, so I'm going to dump a little of this on. You really don't need too much. And you don't want to reuse the excess when you're done with it. So I'm just going to spread this around. And my cat is going to want to try and get into the picture here. Hi, Chloe. If you haven't met Chloe yet, I did post a quick little video of her being all nice and cute. She's usually kind of a brat. And by the way, cornstarch is non-toxic. So, she's kind of obnoxious. She was a foundling. I found her literally sitting in the motor area of my truck when she was maybe 12 weeks old. And as I was trying to get her out, she went further into my motor area and ended up somehow getting all the way underneath the cab, underneath the truck bed, and wedged herself above the gas tank. Like in this spot where literally there was no way I could get out, and she was stuck. So I'm bawling my eyes out, freaking out. I'm, late for work, and I have this sweet, cute little kitten just stuck in my truck. And so I'm calling, my dad. What do I do? What do I do? And his suggestion, move the truck, see if she jumps out. And I'm like, I'm gonna run her over. Anyways, I take his advice and I start my truck. She does not jump out. I put the truck in gear. She does not move out. I move it a little bit. She once again did not move. But the entire time, by the way, I'm hearing her crying. She's loud. And so what I do is I get the gumption to drive to the auto shop just down the way from my house and see if they have something to help get her out. So I get to the first auto shop, by the way, stopping every now and then because she stops crying, and end up having to go to the next auto shop, which is open, which is about 10 miles down the road. So I go down, and it takes 2 guys to get her out, one using this giant screwdriver and the other one to grab her. And once they grabbed her, She's all sweet and cute and crying and scared out of her mind. And before they handed her to me, they're like, what are you going to do with her? I'm like, I'm going to take her home. It was a funny story. Anyway. Alright, so I have rubbed the cornstarch now all throughout. It is no longer sticking in places. And that's really what you want to try and do, is make it so that it's not really sticking in clumps. Like here, it's kind of sticking in clumps. If you use a lot of silicone, you might have to do this for a little bit longer. I'm not really one to use much silicone. In fact, I'd have to say 75% of my paintings don't have any silicone in them. I don't really do much around on the edges, but of course you can take some of this and just rub it quickly. As I said, I'm going to let this sit. There is some silicone still in the little micro crevices. And I just let that sit there for about 30 minutes or so. And then when I come back, I will have cleaned it all off, and it'll be ready for the gloss finish. See you guys in a bit. I am back. All right, so I'm going to move my leftover paint cups, and I am ready to cover. So I've already cleaned it off, dried it off, gotten all of the cornstarch. Can't even think of the word apparently today. Got all of the cornstarch. I just used this brush to really just kind of sweep over everything, and it gets out of, you know, all the nooks and crannies. And by the way, if you're ever interested in painting, if you're not like a regular painter, I'm not a normal brush painter. These are Artist Loft necessities. They are the nicest brushes I've ever used. I know that there's better brushes. Anyways, that's beyond the point. Great brushes. I bought them in a huge pack, like variety pack, for I think $5. They are the best brushes I have ever used by far. But as I said, I'm not really a brush artist, so I don't really know what I'm doing. All right, so the next thing I'm going to get is an essential paper towel, because you're going to want to wipe your hands. Okay, now I put my polycrylic in a small container like this. It's easier to manage. In this, I think I may have enough for one coat. Tomorrow I'm going to go and get more. But this is the Polycrylic High Gloss, or just Gloss. High Gloss? I can't remember. I don't have the can anymore. I buy it in the can. Easy enough to get a hold of. It's in the paint area where all the finishes are. And this is my favorite painting. Okay, so next thing I do, I literally just squeeze it on. Fingers, make sure they're clean of any kind of cornstarch. And then I just start spreading. And here, this way, I don't get brush strokes. I just get the paint to the thickness that I want. And my cat is shaking the table. I am so sorry. Now that I've gotten into this, she's all, I want to be a part of it. I want to be a part of it. You can feel all the places that the finish has touched and where it hasn't. All right, once I start getting it all covered, I start kind of sweeping it out to the edges. Kind of help thin it out a bit. And then I start rubbing my fingers on the edge. Now, I don't really do a lot to the edge. I maybe put one coat. just to help, because this one is a gallery wrapped canvas. So it does have that paint on the sides there. So on this one, I may pay more attention to it. But once again, it's really easy when you're using your hands. And I will normally put 2 to 3 coats depending on the level of finish that I'm looking for. You know, I really like how polycrylic is super glossy. Doesn't really require a lot of work. Sometimes when I'm doing this, I may need to use a torch to get out any air bubbles, but right now it is just feeling super silky. And when I'm doing it this way, I find, you know, I'm not losing a lot of the gloss in the paintbrush itself. And as it sits there, it kind of like levels out a bit. So you don't end up getting those brush strokes. And so the second coat that I'm going to end up doing will be in about maybe an hour or two. When I touch it, I don't want to feel any kind of tackiness to it. So I'm going to use my fire torch really quick. There's just a few air bubbles that I just want to kind of get rid of before it dries in there. Yeah, okay. And so yeah, thank you so much. Thanks so much for watching this. I hope this answers any questions that you guys may have for fluid artists that want to use polycrylic finish, but don't want the brush strokes. I'm telling you, this is your option. And see, I mean, it wipes off really nicely and clean. And when it's dry, it'll be ready to photograph and put on my store. So I appreciate so much for watching, you guys. If you do have any other questions in regards to finish, just ask. I do also use resin, but very sparingly, as I actually do use it making jewelry and other crafts. But for these kind of paintings, I love the softness of the polycrylic high gloss finish. All right. Thanks for watching. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel. I do have a Patreon page if anyone is interested. Patreon is just a great way to give support to other artists and creators. It is financial support. I offer subscription boxes where you can get jewelry and other types of pendants like bookmarks and such, necklaces, earrings, bracelets, and depending on what type of box you get, you could also get a painting made, and you will get the drippings. All the pendant stuff will be made from the drippings of that painting. So it's very customizable, very individual. Whatever painting you get, nobody else will have. It's very cool. I have some like $5. I think I even have like maybe a $2 one, and I can't remember all my incentives anymore. But please check out my Patreon. The link will be in the description. Thank you so much for being a part of my journey, and keep on pouring. Bye.